In the previous video, we applied the chain of responsibility pattern to our repository API. In this video, we're going to look at another very common pattern in the COCO framework, the observer pattern. The observer pattern is used to allow another object to publish changes to its state, which allows for loosely coupled communication between two objects. This is done by implementing a protocol-delegate relationship between two classes. This pattern is not just limited to two-way communication. You can also define a one-to-many dependency between objects. So, as one object changes its state, all of its dependents are notified and updated automatically. Since this is a simpler design pattern, we won't need to do much to get our starter project, which you can find at this video's resource page, up and running. Once you have the starter project open, let's look at viewcontroller.swift. We've got a property observer named enteredNumber, and we've got a numbersEntered IBA action that assigns numbers from the UI text field in our property observer. If we click on our observing view controller, we have a few labels for holding numbers, and that's about it. If we run our application and try to enter some numbers in the text field, we don't see anything special. We do see some numbers in the console, but clearly the desired intention is for our labels to be populated down here. So let's fix that by setting up our simple observer pattern. Open viewcontroller.swift and add a protocol named propertyObserverDelegate and give it a type of class. In this protocol, we've included just one function named didChangePropertyValue, and we'll pass in an int named value. Next, we'll add a weak property to our view controller and give it an uninitialized optional type of propertyObserverDelegate. Then, in enteredNumbersDidSet, we'll pass our enteredNumbers value into our observer's didChangePropertyValue function. That's it for our viewController class. Next, we'll open up our observing viewController class and make it implement our propertyObserverDelegate. In order to implement our protocol, we'll need to add the didChangePropertyValue method. Then, we'll need to add some values for our labels. Finally, we just need to set our delegate in our viewDidLoad. I'll paste in the code for that and explain. So in this first line, we're fetching our appDelegate instance, and then we're finding our root view controller, which we know is the view controller, so we can safely cast it. Finally, we set the delegate in our view controller equal to our observing view controller. That should do it. Let's test our application. As we type into the input field, we can see our labels updating with values. This, of course, is a simple version of the observer pattern, but it's a pattern that you'll use all the time in Swift, so make sure that you know it well. In this section, we introduced design patterns, and we learned why they should be important to us as developers. We looked at 2 creational design patterns, 2 structural design patterns, and 2 behavioral design patterns. Congratulations, you've finished mastering Swift 2. In this course, we've looked at functional programming concepts like extensions, generics, higher-order functions, sequences, and generators. We then moved on to memory management, where we learned how to profile our code using instruments. Next, we saw how we can interoperate with other languages like Objective-C, C, and even C++. We looked into concurrency and asynchronous programming, followed by ways in which we can improve performance. Finally, we looked at how design patterns can solve common programming problems. I've introduced you to many topics in this course, but it's up to you to pull the threads and see what unravels in your programming career. The next step for you is to dive into Apple's wide array of documentation and learn more about the COCO framework. There's also a wealth of information on Stack Overflow to help you along the way. Though, what I recommend most is that you build your first real application. I promise you, that will be the best learning experience that you can find. If you have any questions, you can always contact me on my blog over at www.codebaloo.com. Or you can always message me on Twitter. My handle is @transfer_point. Thank you.